Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. We live in a world of absolute information overload, don't we? Between the endless scrolling, the group chats blowing up, and an inbox that never sleeps, our brains are just constantly bombarded with data. It is exhausting, and it begs the real question, how much of it is actually sticking? Well, today, we're going to demystify memory together. We're going to break down exactly how your brain decides what to keep and give you a highly actionable framework to help solve this retention problem once and for all. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the brain's spam filter, then look at mastering focus waves, the self-quizzing technique, chunking for better storage, engaging multiple senses, and we'll wrap up with the magic of rest, sleep, and exercise. Let's get to it.
All right, part one, the brain's spam filter. To really wrap our heads around this, I want you to picture something. Imagine you're sitting in a room, right? And floor to ceiling, it is just stacked with thousands upon thousands of books. Now imagine trying to absorb all the information in those books at the exact same time. Obviously, no way, right? It's literally impossible. Well, your brain deals with that level of overload every single day. So, to cope, it acts as this incredibly ruthless automatic filter. On one hand, you've got useful information, the stuff your brain flags as critical to keep for later. On the other hand, you've got spam or garbage, which gets instantly and permanently deleted. Your brain is running this brutal triage process every second of the day. So the real secret to having a great memory isn't just trying harder. It's knowing exactly how to signal to your brain that, hey, this stuff right here, this is useful, not spam. And that brings us to our first actual strategy.
Moving on to part two, master your focus waves. You know what the biggest trap we fall into when learning? Thinking our focus is just a flat line. We sit down at a desk and expect to operate at 100% capacity for 3 hours straight. But human focus doesn't work like that at all. It ebbs and flows like a wave. 1 minute you're totally dialed in, and 10 minutes later you're staring blankly at the wall. You've got to work with that natural rhythm. Here's the play. Step 1, study in short, intense bursts of just 20 to 25 minutes. Step 2, immediately take a 2 to 5 minute mini refresh break. This is the Pomodoro technique in a nutshell. Look, if you force your brain to keep reading when it's naturally tired, you're basically shoving that new info straight into the spam folder. But those quick mini breaks, they drop your stress, help consolidate the memory, and honestly, you end up remembering way more in way less time. All right, section 3, the self-quizzing technique. Okay, think about how you normally study. Most of us fall into this extremely common trap of just rereading our notes, maybe highlighting a few things and thinking, yep, I totally got this. But passively consuming something over and over again doesn't flag it as important to your brain. Let's try something different. Look at the question here. What is the capital of India? Now, don't wait for me to tell you. Actually, dig into your brain and answer that mental prompt right now. Retrieve it. Got it? It's New Delhi. That tiny pause, that moment of searching and retrieving the answer, that is infinitely better for your memory than if you had just passively read a sentence that said, New Delhi is the capital.
So why does that work so well? Well, it's all about the biology. When you ask yourself a question, your prefrontal cortex actively dives into your mental memory bank and yanks that data out. And it's that very struggle, the retrieval process itself, that reinforces the neural pathway. Every single time you pull that memory out, the connection gets stronger. So to truly lock information in, try studying a topic, wait an hour or two, and then sit down with a blank sheet of paper and just write out everything you can remember. Forcing that exact retrieval process is an absolute game changer for your retention.
Next up, section 4. Chunking for better storage. Have you ever tried to memorize an entire massive chapter all at once? Your brain just crashes, right? It's simply too much unbroken data. The fix for this overload is a psychological tool called chunking. Think of it exactly like packing for a vacation. Chunking means breaking huge concepts into manageable, bite-sized pieces. Part 1, then part 2, then part 3. Once you understand the small parts, your brain eventually stitches them together into one single unit. Imagine trying to carry 20 loose shirts, pants, and pairs of socks in your arms through an airport. You're going to drop everything everywhere. But if you fold them up and pack them into one easy-to-carry suitcase, suddenly, transporting them is effortless. Chunking does the exact same thing for your memory. It packs your knowledge securely so your brain can carry the whole shebang without dropping a thing.
Which brings us to section 5, engage multiple senses.
Usually, when we're trying to learn, we rely on just one or two senses, maybe staring at a screen or listening to a voice, But you know what? Engaging extra senses makes an absolutely massive difference. The more senses involved, the thicker the neural wiring. You've got visual memory, right? Using your eyes to visualize pictures. You've got auditory memory, listening or speaking out loud with rhythm. But the real magic happens when you trigger your kinesthetic memory. That involves your hands and your sense of touch. For instance, right now, if you were to physically type out a comment saying, "I improve my memory," or if you wrote down notes with a pen, you're bringing your hands into the process. This creates multisensory learning, and it basically superglues the information into your long-term memory. And finally, section 6, rest, sleep, and exercise. Look, you can use active recall, you can chunk your data perfectly, but if you ignore rest, you might as well throw all that hard work right out the window. We live in this crazy hustle culture that preaches sleep is for the weak and breaks are a waste of time. That is literally the worst advice for your brain. Breaks and sleep are never a waste of time. They are the fundamental physical mechanisms of learning. Throughout the day, you're basically just collecting data. But sleep is the magical window where your brain actually organizes, files, and permanently saves everything you learned that day. But it's not just about sleep. Moving your body is equally critical. When you engage in physical exercise, your body pumps out a protein called BDNF. Let's use a metaphor here. Think of all those facts and concepts you've been studying as bricks. Stacked up on their own, bricks can easily be knocked right over. But BDNF, that acts exactly like cement. It is the mortar that solidifies those memories in your brain. Without the cement, the wall just crumbles. You absolutely need physical movement to mix up a fresh batch of that memory cement. And the best part? You don't need to go suffer through some grueling 2-hour gym session to get it. We are talking about basic, accessible movements here. A brisk walk around the block, a quick jump rope session, a bike ride through your neighborhood, or literally just dropping down to do a few push-ups between study sprints. Sneaking just a little bit of physical activity into your routine guarantees your brain has the chemical tools it needs to lock that data down for good. Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. We've covered a lot. You now know how to dodge the brain's spam filter, ride your focus waves, actively quiz yourself, chunk the big stuff, and use your senses to gather the strongest possible bricks of knowledge. But I want to leave you with this one provocative question to chew on today. You've spent all this time gathering the bricks of knowledge, but are you actually giving your brain the cement to build the wall? Remember, you've got to balance the intense focus with the sleep and physical recovery your mind is desperately begging for. Thank you so much for joining me today. Go out there, grab your cement, and start building something incredible.